Okay, in this notebook, we're going to go over a brief workflow of interacting with Git. So we're going to go through the whole create a Git repository, create a file, modify a file, stage the file, commit the file, and so forth. And we'll also look a little bit at branching and merging. Now, as I probably mentioned earlier, most of the time that you're going to be interacting with Git, it'll be through a development environment such as VS Code. So you won't have to interact with Git via the command line. But here we're going to look at every command like you were typing into a terminal. But in general, you'll use it through helper software. But what the helper software does, what VS Code integration with Git does, is it just does this under the hood. So first what we want to do, and you only have to do this once when you set up Git, is just configure it so that it knows who you are, your email address, your name, and so forth. So I'll configure it here so it knows who I am. And again, you only have to do that once on your system. And what is good practice is to always, if we have a new project, if we have a new Python file, well, we put it in its own directory. Because I'm in Colab, I can't create a new directory here, so I'm just going to work right in this directory where we are here. And I'm giving you this command right up front in case you modify the files in this directory and you just want to delete everything. You can delete everything like this, and this is going to delete the Git repository that we create, which is going to be a .dot file. So right here we can see this is empty. So first let's create a Git repository. So if we say git init, we have initialized an empty Git repository. So this is the empty Git repository. And now if we would like, we can look and say, and we'll see the .dot file here. See .git. And we can ask Git its status. Remember, because we're using the exclamation point, all of this is being sent to the bash terminal. So we're on branch master. So this is just, sometimes this might be called main, sometimes this might be called the master branch. This is the main one. So it says, meaning we haven't created other branches, and usually if we create other branches, we're going to merge them back into this one. So we have no commits, and there's nothing to commit. Right. So first thing we can do is go ahead and create a file. So this is going to create a file called examplefile.txt, and it's only going to have one line in it, and it's going to say our first text in a file. So we can go ahead and create that file. And now, and just so in case you want to see, the file is there. So we can take a look at our Git repository, and we're on branch master. There's nothing to commit yet. However, we do have an untracked file. And so what this means, untracked, means it's not under version control yet. Git knows that it's there, but it's not tracking any changes to that file. So if we want to start tracking changes to the file, putting it under version control, if you will, then we can add the file. Now if we take a look at our Git repository, it says, again, we're on branch master, no commits. However, we have changes that are ready to be committed. Now, one thing, keep in mind, git add will add a new file under version control, and if there are any changes to the file, we still use git add. So what git add does is it like I said, puts a file initially under version control, and it stages a file if there's changes to it. So we can go ahead at this point and commit it. So we can commit, and this is this flag is an M flag. It says this is our message. So our message, you can write whatever you'd like here. This is just a message to ourselves that this is our initial commit. So we can go ahead and do that, and we see one file changed, one insertion. We added one line, and now we can take a look at the status of the repo again, and we're on branch master, nothing to commit. However, we can look at our log, and we can see, okay, well, these are all the commits that we have, right? So this is, and as there are more commits, you'll see more here, but this gives us a log of all our commits, and then this hash is a unique identifier for the commit, so we can refer to specific commits. So if we want, we can show this commit. Now, head is going to be the latest commit here. So the idea is that we're basically saying show this commit right here. And this will show us, this is a diff which diffs the file. So it shows what the file was, the difference between what it was and what it is now. And you can see the difference is we just simply added this line. Now we can also refer to a commit by its hash. This changes each time I run the notebook. So 1166D, the first 5 of the hash. So we can refer to a commit that way as well. And this is important, obviously, because we don't always want to. We might want to remove a particular commit, and it might not be the head, the latest one, and so forth. So we can always refer to a commit by that first 5 of the hash. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and modify the file. What we're going to use to modify the file is an old Unix utility sed. And what this is going to do is it's going to replace first and second in this file. So anytime when it sees first, it's going to replace it with second. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run that. And now we can git status, and we see we've modified example file. And now, if we want to see what the differences are, we can use Git Diff, and this will show us what was the old file and what is it now. So it'll show us all the changes. So as we can see here, now again, it shows it. If we change one character on a line, that's deleting the line and adding a new line. So we can see the line was our first text in a file. Now it's our second text in a file. So what we can do is we can say, okay, well, we like that change. So we're going to stage it with git add, and then we're going to actually commit it with a message changing first to second. And now we can look at our git log, and we can see, okay, we have an initial commit, and then we have another commit which is changing first to second. And if we show head, this is going to be the changing first to second. Again, that's now our latest commit. Now, a powerful aspect of Git is we can undo commits. So we can always see, there eventually in some of your projects could be 100 commits, and 100 commits, we can look back through them and we can undo commits and so forth. So not only are we tracking what we're doing, but we can revert, we can change, we can undo what we've done at any point. So to do this, the command would be git reset, and we're going to reset head. We're just this is the latest commit. So we can go ahead and run that, and now you can see head is now, it's moved head back to our 1166D commit. That was our first commit. So it got rid of this, and we are back with our 1166D, our initial commit. And if we look at the log, we see, okay, that commit has been undone, and if we look at the file, it should say our first and not our second, right? So there we go. Our file says our first text in a file. So this is the general manner in which you're going to use Git. So you initially track a file, you modify it, stage, and commit, and then the one aspect that I'm not showing here is then you'll push it to GitHub. Right. So general workflow again would be modify a file, stage it with git add, git commit, and push. Now, a somewhat more advanced or extraordinarily useful aspect of Git, but in the beginning you don't use it as much, is the fact that we can have multiple versions of a file or multiple versions of a lot of files in this repository. Remember, this repository that we have right now is tracking one file, but it can track hundreds. And so what we can do is we can have a state of this different states of this repository. And why this is useful is, let's say we have some Python script, and and we want to try to add some functionality to it. But we don't want to try to add this to our main Python script. What we want to do is we want to create a separate version of this Python script and try to get this new functionality working. And then once we get this new functionality working, and we've tested it and it works, then we can move it back into the main file. But the idea here is we don't want to sort of break the main file while we're working on it, because maybe this is a script that we want to run quite a bit. And if we break it, then it's going to stop at that point. So what we want to do is we want to keep our main file, which would be the master branch or the main branch, if you call it that. We want to keep that intact and then add all this functionality in this other branch. Until it works, until the bugs are worked out of it, and then once it works, bring it into to our main file again. And that's what branching provides you. So what we can do is we can create a new branch here with Git checkout. So this is Git checkout, and create a branch named test1. So we created a new branch and we switched over to this new branch, right? So now we're in a new branch called test1, and you'll see on branch test1, not on branch master, and nothing to commit. So if we modify our file, right, we modify it in this branch, we're going to say, we're going to add a new line to it. So this is going to echo, this is a new line. It appends it to this example file, so it'll append it to the bottom of the file. So if we diff the file, we say our first line in the text file, and then this is a new line below it. So we just have this addition of a new line. So what we can do is we can add and commit it, right? So we go ahead, add that, and commit it. But now again, we're still on this test1 branch. We haven't done anything to our master branch. So if we look at this file in the test1 branch, right, we say our first text in a file, this is a new line, right? However, if we switch back to our master branch, right, so this is going to be Git checkout master. Now we switch to branch master. So if we were to say something like Git status, all right, it's going to tell us that we're in our master branch. So now if we look at the file in our master branch, right, it only has that one line. It doesn't have the new line. So this is showing you we can have two separate versions of a file. But let's say we want to bring that line into the master branch. Then what we can do is we can say merge. So this is kind of, again, what we have in this test branch. We like it. It works. Let's bring it into our main file. So we say Git Merge test1. We're in the master branch right now. So we say Git Merge test1, and it merges it in. And now we can look at the master branch, and we have the new line in there. And then it's customary. It's a good time to go ahead and delete that other branch so it's not hanging out there. So that's how you would use branches and then merge them in. And this is also useful once you start interacting with GitHub, because pull requests kind of act like this merge. So people are going to modify. The terminology is a little bit different. So GitHub adds in, forks and pull requests and so forth. But the idea here, they have a fork of your repository and they want to merge there into your repository. So it's analogous. Now, note right now, we don't have any remotes, right? So everything we've been working here is through a local repository, no GitHub. We talked about GitHub in the other presentation. So as an exercise in this notebook, go ahead and try to create a new commit. Remember, if you want to modify the file, you can use echo to echo a new line into there. So modify the file, stage it, commit it, and then take a look at the Git log to see your new commit.